Chapter 7 is all about scripting and using .NET in SSIS. Now, there's a ton of stuff that we've got to cover in here. It's not a huge chapter, but it's a very important chapter for anybody who needs to do .NET. I'll kind of cover if that's you in just a second, so kind of bear with me. You just can see here on the chapter listing where we are. Let's just cover what this chapter goes over before you make the decision on whether or not this is the right chapter for you, because I know some of you might be a little confused whether you need to even watch this chapter. So here's what we're going to do. So the first section, we're in our little overview right now. The next video is another lecture-based PowerPoint style video like we're doing here that talks about what you can do with .NET inside of SSIS. Now, once we pass these two, it's predominantly going to be demo only. So we'll be creating our own SSIS packages, or we'll be working with .NET projects, creating custom assemblies, working with third-party assemblies. We'll be doing all that in demo mode. So we have a bunch of different cool stuff that we're going to do. We're going to talk about how to write your own assemblies, how to bring those into SSIS and use those. We'll talk about using assemblies that you may have either purchased or downloaded, what we call third-party assemblies. Now, we'll talk about what assemblies are too. That might be confusing to some of you. One of the things that I like to do in SSIS is make it a little more professional if I need to have it send an email. And so we're going to talk about two options here. One is how to send fancy HTML-based emails. And then two, one of the things I seem to often need to do is send an Excel spreadsheet at the output of an SSIS package. And it's really just plug and play, copy and paste code that you can just put into yours if you want to really make that Excel spreadsheet pop. If you want to freeze the top headers, if you want to add in a header bar with some pretty colors and add custom fonts, etc. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. And then towards the end, we're going to get into using two of the transformations that are kind of troublesome for most, and that's the import and export transformations. And then we'll talk about the script component as well. So we've done a little bit of that one, but we're going to do a little bit more. So this chapter, it's all about .NET. We've talked about script task and script component lightly. Now we're just going to go into more depth. We're going to explain all the things that we've kind of said, oh, hey, I'm just do this real quick. Now it's time to kind of slow down and explain all of that here. So what Chapter 7 is really about is it's not about necessarily learning all kinds of new things. Like, I'm not going to introduce any new tasks to you. I'm not going to introduce mind-blowing things. It's really more about how to extend the functionality, how to make things better, make things easier, make things more dynamic. So the example I had here was you have a boring package that creates just a generic Excel file. It would be cool if you could make it look better and then send that using a Gmail account, right? That's what I mean when I say bolt-ons. Just little things that maybe you already have packages that do a lot of this, but now you can make those packages better. Now, there are prereqs for this. So you need to know all about the data flow task. You need to have that kind of stuff already taken care of. Okay, that needs to be knowledge you already have. So either have gone through chapters 1 through 6 or have that experience already. And of course, to do .NET, you need to have a working experience, a working knowledge rather. What does that mean? That basically means I need you to know what the types are. You need to have a good understanding of what classes are, what is an object, how variables work in .NET, and how to call methods. You do not need to be an expert. You do not need to have developed 400,000 lines of code to get it. You just have to know the basics. I think that's a fairly small set of requirements here. Okay? But without those, it's going to be somewhat difficult. And I would suggest that if you don't have that basic prereqs already, it's okay. skip this chapter. Come back to it once you've developed either a need to do .NET in SSIS, or you kind of have a better understanding of how all of that works. You can safely skip this chapter if you knew how to use .NET in 2005's SSIS. However, things have changed a little bit, and it's a change for the better, so you might want to watch a little bit of this chapter at least. You don't really care. You could skip it if you don't care about working with the script task, and certainly you don't have to watch this if you don't have any interest in .NET. If you do skip this chapter, the next one, chapter 8, is about scheduling and security, and our final chapter is about upgrading from 2000 to 2008.